How high-tech, highfalutin, lazy, or foo-foo America gets, we will never stop hunting and fishing. This is the Hunting Quest. Hunting Quest. We take 1 hour of every week and talk about our favorite things in the world, hunting and fishing. You'll get tips and help on the fishing environment locally in the DMV area. Plus, we're going to have fun along the way. This is the Hunting Quest. And now your host, Mike Tippin and Bennett Malin.
Dude, you know, we went on a couple weeks of not having any mess ups, really.
Yep.
We were due for it.
You were.
I think I made a joke about it last week about how I haven't messed up in a while. So
Right. Yes, you were due.
Anyway, it's Wednesday. Mikey, how are you?
I'm hot and sticky and sweaty and I don't know.
It sounds fun.
Nah, y'all need to check on your husky friends. Check on your husky friends. It's hot
Yeah.
out here.
Yeah.
Yeah, call them up. Make sure they're doing okay in this heat.
Dude, it's brutal. One of the guys at work today was saying his AC's been out all weekend.
Oh, no.
I was like, oh,
Nope.
that sucks.
I'd be moving back into the barracks.
Yeah, it was ridiculous. But tonight we have our friend Jeremy Hicks from Upstate New York here. Jeremy, how you doing?
Good. How are you guys?
Shoot, living the dream, man.
Right? Getting to talk to you. I call that a success. So, man, I first, thanks for coming on. I appreciate it. We got to talk a little bit ahead of time before this, and man, Benny and I are very appreciative of getting to know you. There's a lot of people we get to meet, and you say, okay, that's pretty cool, but you're one of those folks, man. I tell you, I'm glad I know you, and that's pretty cool. So,
Thanks. I appreciate that.
yeah. So we hold you in pretty high regard, but a lot of times folks want to know who you are, what you're doing here, and why we decided to get you here. I'll fill in the look. You know, we got to come up and hunt with you this year. You were gracious enough to help us out and show us around as a local person, and but you're all around just a hellaciously good hunter. But tell people a little bit about you and who you are and what you do.
Yeah. So my name's Jeremy Hicks. I live in upstate New York. Full-time, I'm an investigator with the state police. I've been a trooper for 17 years. I have 3 crazy kids, all into sports, competition dance. So we are running, like chickens where the heads cut off, my wife and I. So beautiful wife named Stacy. She's a teacher. So we live up in Chenango County, Madison County area. I also have a side gig that I do, food plots for deer. I do lime, fertilizer, tree stands. So anything geared towards deer hunting, really, I can, kind of do like a little bit of consulting here and there too. So that kind of keeps me busy. So yeah, that's pretty much me.
Cool, man. And land management, that's a task all in itself. I woun't want that on. I mean, I do a bad enough job on my own property. I couldn't imagine doing it for somebody else. So, no way.
It's a little bit stressful when you don't get the rain. You know what I mean? Like, say you plant food plot for someone, and then you look at the forecast, and it's just sun, and look how hot it is for recently. Yeah. So it's a little bit stressful when you don't get the weather.
Yeah. So we're down here in Loudoun County, Virginia, and I am. Benny's up in Maryland, but they just implemented drought restrictions here. We haven't had rain in a lot. I mean, we get rain, but it's like torrential downpour, and then it just it doesn't sink in. So they actually put in for the drought restrictions and emergency aid and all that. So farmers are getting some stuff out of that, but. Yeah, it's going to be a rough year for sure, and at least in Loudoun County. So, not having that rain sucks.
Yeah.
Sucks.
And I feel for the farmers. I mean, we do this for hunting and deer purposes, but that's their livelihood. So it's tough on the farmers, especially.
Yeah. And there's a lot of folks. A lot of these farmers. Well, Benny's a Midwest kid, so he knows more about this than I do. But you wonder why, so many farmers are going to, they call them GMO, but, drought resistant, type corn and things like that. Well, this is exactly why. I mean,
Yeah.
you,
They ain't got a choice.
they ain't got a choice, and I mean, yeah, you can pull insurance on your corn, but, or whatever your crop is, but that's still going to cost you in the long run. So,
Yeah, no doubt.
So it's going to be interesting to see how things come in. So, but you're out doing a little bit of work today, aren't you?
Yeah, this is just for fun. This is right in my house, so this is the fun stuff. Like, if I screw up, it's okay. You know what I mean? I'm not doing it for someone else.
That's the test lab, right?
Yeah, you test the waters here and can do a little something different, change it up, try something new. So that's the fun stuff.
Yeah. So we kind of got into. Like I said, I got to know you this year, and I mean, there's not a lot of folks that I just kind of meet right away. I'm like, man, this is a good person. And I said it once, I'll say it again. You seem like a pretty good person, man. I enjoyed hunting with you. You and Mike really kind of showed us the ropes up there when we were definitely lost. But it was really, really cool. So I got to ask, obviously you've been hunting for quite a while. What got you into hunting and what keeps you there?
So I got into hunting probably, growing up. It's one of those family things, right? So if your family does it, and it's what you do, I guess. And in upstate New York, there's not a whole heck of a lot to do. So in those months, you're hunting, you're fishing, and I feel it's in your blood. Like my grandfather, my great grandfather, my dad, my uncles, my whole family, and it's just what you do. And I think you're born with it, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
So it's just like turkey hunting, right? So I don't think turkey hunting ever gets old, right? If something gets old and it's like, yeah, it's just no. When you hear a bird on it like 50 yards coming through the hardwoods and he screams,
Yep.
we still get that
Yep.
nervous, that puts our guts in like a knot and you're like shaking. And where else can you get that? You know what I mean? So it's just, I don't know. I hate to say it, but it's kind of like a drug, right? It's like addicting.
Yeah.
We go every year and we're like opening day. We get so excited, like a little kid, first day of school.
Yep.
It's tough to explain, but I think once you understand it, you're like, yeah, I know what he means.
Yeah.
It's that drive and that adrenaline rush and that passion. I can't get away from it, to be honest with you.
So,
and I'd have to say that turkey hunt up in New York was probably one of the most fun turkey hunts we did this year.
So which one? We had a couple.
Well, they're both really cool.
The first one.
The second one where it was us four idiots just running through the woods after birds. I mean, it was just chaos. It was so much fun having,
was a blast.
Four guys that know how to turkey hunt, and we're all kind of moving through the woods and doing our own thing together. And then all of a sudden, from that first spot we sat down, and we're sitting there, and we heard that bird kind of up on the mountain in front of us. We're like, all right, let's give him a few minutes to see what he does. And me, and Mike kind of moved back, and Mikey's sitting up on a tree, and we're, you guys are calling. And I think it was about, 10 minutes, and we're like, all right, like, I don't know, we haven't heard the bird. We're hearing this other one way over here. Let's get up, get the stuff, and start heading that way. We start walking up the hill to Mike. That bird fired off at 80 yards. I just, hit the deck and laid down. We're like, Mikey, sit down.
Yeah.
Mike goes running through the woods back to the tree he was sitting on. You and I are like, what the hell is he doing? And somehow it worked out. It was awesome.
It was. And like four people that really don't know each other.
Right.
Yeah.
I feel we connected.
Yep.
We knew what we had to do, and we worked as a team.
That was fun.
Silly, but it was a blast.
And
even the
team. I got to say, man, it was. I mean, that was the first hunt really the first time you and I had ever met. We spent 15 minutes, 20 minutes in the truck.
I say the car ride over.
That's it. But it goes to show you, like-minded individuals who have an understanding of what they're doing. You don't have to practice. You all know what the goal is. What's the end goal? And what works for you generally works for somebody else, and I love it. Best hunt I have ever been on in my entire life, hands down. And I will never, I mean, I never relive that one again, but I'm damn sure going to try. So I again, man, that was so much fun. Benny's running around the woods, and the best and worst part is that was like that was it. That was our last hunt, and we were both really tired. We were both, I won't say sick of turkey hunting. We were just both sick and tired of each other sitting in a truck, driving across country. You spend 7,000 miles with somebody in a truck, you better like them, because if you don't, you ain't gonna make 7,000 miles. But what was really cool was that was it. That was the last hunt. That's all we needed. And we got it done, but we got it done in a way that it truly was, I mean, my opinion, best hunt I've ever been on in my life. And
I didn't know it was like that. I mean, that's
awesome.
Yeah,
hands down.
It was 100% the best hunt I've been on this past year. The way we connected, the way it all worked out, and I just remember seeing that turkey coming to the left, and I gave the old. I'm sitting next to Benny. I'm like, "There's no way I think he sees it, but there's no way he's gonna shoot." And then we both jumped. I'm like, I don't know. And we kicked it off, and it was a bomb.
Yeah.
It's like I don't, 63 or something.
Yeah, it was out there. It was in the sixes. I don't remember how far, but it was in the sixes.
I saw because Jeremy and I were both watching that bird, and we're like, no way he even sees that one.
Yeah.
And then I was looking at something else. I heard you shoot, and I looked back through the woods. Like, maybe I thought that other one had come up through the woods.
I did too.
I'm like looking. I'm like, where the hell? What did he shoot? I look back up and see that bird way up there flopping around in the. I'm like, how in the hell did you even see that?
Yeah. I heard the one off to the right, and I think that one off to the right was, I think that was a bird for sure. That was a big bird. Yeah. But you know what? That one that came out, that was a good one too. That was the one that was right for me. Yeah. And I don't know, man. I just I have to admit, I don't generally take a shot that long ever. But again, I took a shot that I thought I could make, right? Yeah. And I was happy that I made it, but if I'd have taken that shot and that bird and I completely whiffed, I'd have been eating crow all day. So.
Probably would have busted your balls a little bit.
I would have.
Yeah, you wouldn't have heard the end of that one.
Oh man, but I and the other part that, again, I've told people this before, and I've said, upstate New York is not New York. That's more like Western Ohio, Eastern Ohio. that's really, it's beautiful. It's absolutely gorgeous there. The people are incredibly nice, but the land, like that jaunt through that area, while we are going through up the side of this little mountain and running across and, doing our thing, if you took a minute just to kind of take it in when you sat down, that place is beautiful.
Yeah, it's really nice. And you guys didn't get to see the best of it. So we get leaf peepers that will come up from, say, the city, and it's really gorgeous when you go up on the top of the side of a mountain and you see the different.
What did you call them?
Leaf peepers. I know. So they come up to look at the leaves. As silly as that sounds, right? So I'm like, see people with 4 or 5 people on the side of the road with binoculars and cameras. And one time I stopped and asked, I'm thinking they see a big buck. I'm like, right? What are you guys looking at?
I gotta see this guy.
Yeah. But no, they're looking at the leaves. They're taking pictures of, the red and the oranges and the yellows. And then you really step back on the side of a mountain, and it's actually really pretty.
It is.
So we have a 2-week window where it's full foliage with the colors, and it's actually really cool.
Yeah.
It is.
And I think kind of upstate New York's kind of known for that.
Yes.
That really vibrant color change in the fall.
100%, yeah.
Yeah, New York.
The leaf and they come up.
Oh Oh, that's sticking right there. Hey, what are you doing? I'm a leaf peeper.
I will leave people. Yeah.
I might have to add that to the side of the shotgun.
I'm telling
Put
you,
that on the barrel, the old leaf peeper.
but it cannot be. It cannot be in Barbie print. All right.
All right, we'll just go hot pink then. Just hot pink leaf peeper on the side of the barrel.
Oh Lord. So obviously you're doing a food plot for yourself.
Yep.
I would suspect that you're, big deer hunter. We know you're a big duck hunter, duck and geese. And how do you think the season's going to lay out for y'all this year? I mean, obviously, we don't have a lot of rain. I don't know your area very well, but what are you thinking this year? How's it going to go in New York?
So I think it's going to be really good. I don't run cameras this early. A lot of buddies do. And a lot of good buddies have seen some really good deer, really good growth on antlers. It's been hot. So I think it's going to be really, really good. I'm just hoping the deer that I had eyes on last year made it. So he's
You and
my fingers are crossed, and
yeah,
you know how that goes.
I do. You and 75% of the other ones who, the 25% who got that deer last year are now looking for a new one.
Yeah.
The rest of us, 75% of the rest of us who didn't get that deer are sure hoping he's still there next year.
Yeah.
So I'm with you.
You do everything in your power, like I try to go everything I can to hold that deer, maybe to bring in some hot does to hold them. So anything that we can do, I think, is deer hunters to benefit us legally, then I'm all in. Planting food to me is number one.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. And now Benny has a different thought process, and I'm kind of buying into the process. And he has this idea. It might not be his, it might be somebody else's, but Benny talked about quadrants and sections, right? You remember that conversation, Benny? It was, I don't know, probably somewhere in I don't know.
Yeah, I was watching. I don't remember who that was talking about it, but he was talking about on your food plots and big open fields, instead of just doing one big, long whatever soybean field, how he was breaking it up into breaking that big field up into smaller sections and kind of dividing it off with whatever trees I think he was using.
Yeah. Windbreaks.
Like windbreaks and stuff through it. And he was saying that he gets a lot more deer that spend, basically what it boils down to is the deer is going to spend more time in that field because he has to go to each one of those windbreaks individually to check. It's not just there's a north wind, I can walk to the south edge of this 300-acre flat soybean field and go, yep, cool, moving on.
There's all my
Yeah.
But and a lot of that too, I think more our side of it from Missouri and how our farm is set up is we do a lot more just land management stuff, and not necessarily, big ag fields. We've got food plots, but they're all, whatever, clover, turnips, kind of some of the smaller winter forage. And Mike, you've been to our farm. Most of the field is natural, cool season grasses that, hold those deer there and try to hold them on our property. But, we've got neighbors that have 700-800 acre cornfields. So, we can kind of break it up and be we're just going to have this nice 10-foot natural grass and all the deer are going to bed here and, whatever, get up and go feed and come back. But that land management, there's a lot to it. I think a lot of people don't understand that it's not just go out and, whatever, buy a bag of seed, plant a food plot, and you're good to go. There's a lot of different thoughts going into that.
100%. I mean, you got to incorporate your wind direction, right? That's number one. Find the bedding area. You can make bedding areas too. I'm a big fan of that. And like you said with the quadrants, if you think about it, you break it down into rooms in your house, right?
Exactly.
You have one big open floor plan. That buck could peep his head out and see the whole field. But if you break it into quadrants, switchgrass, standing corn, he's got to peek around each corner or get downwind of that whole area. He could probably scent check the whole thing. But, he's got to move around and look and check every one of those.
Right.
So, he's got to move and get up maybe during daylight hours when you can shoot him.
Mm-hmm.
not at night too. So that's another thing too, is you want to get them during daylight hours. That's what
That's the
is
key.
key.
That's like half the battle, I think.
Half the battle.
Man, that rut turns on, those bucks go nocturnal bad.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that first shot goes out, and then
Oh, it's yeah.
they figured it out, and it's
Same thing up here. You get so much pressure, you know what I mean? It's
Yep.
it's tough to get a buck on its feet after the third, fourth day of rifle season.
Mhm.
He's heard all those shots, and an older, mature deer, he's not dumb. He's going to know where it's safe, and he's going to lay low.
Right.
Yeah.
So, big thing with me, I like if you're planting a lot of food, so late season, say muzzleloader, when it gets really cold, they got to get on their feet to eat, because after the rut, they've lost all that body fat. They got to put all that body fat back on. So, you're sitting over a 5-6 acre soybean field in muzzleloader season during a snowstorm, you might see a deer or two.
Or 30. Yeah.
Yeah, that poor farmer, whoever that is with those beans in the field, he ain't happy. So
no.
And so and that kind of brings us, one of the big parts is, when you're trying to plant, and we talked a little bit about this ahead of time. If you're trying to plant something, if you're just Joe Schmo and you got 5 acres that you're going to plant, what's your go-to? What's your move?
So 5 acres, that's a good chunk. I mean, a lot of guys don't have 5 acres. They may have a half acre or an acre.
Sure.
I would go with a Nebraska blend, turnips, clover. I mean, if you don't want to till it or disc it in or whatever, you could do clover. And that's good for 5 years. You maintain it, frost
Right.
spring, and add some fertilizer, and you mow it a couple times a year. That's easy. But as you know, your turnips, you got to till it, or you can do the standing and the crimping, and there's a couple different ways you can do it. But those turnips and Nebraska blend, that's tough to beat.
I'll agree. I'll agree 100%.
Yeah.
And you got the early season, then you got the late season, so it's an all-around great food plot.
I say especially those turnips, because in the fall they'll come in and eat all the leaves and everything off of it, and then once you get that first cold snap, you leave them in the ground, they turn real sweet. And we've watched them, sitting in a deer stand. They'll come up and dig around the dirt and pull those turnips up out of the ground and sit there and crunch on them.
It's fun to watch them.
It's cool to see them. Yep.
They juggle it kind of like an apple.
It's like chewing on a rock. And then, man, they'll sit in there for hours doing that.
And they're like a dog. A few of them, they'll have that long string of freaking drool coming out of their mouth.
Yeah.
They're loving it. It's like, this is the greatest thing ever. So, but yeah, so I tell folks, what a lot of folks where we're at, we get a lot of people who, and the reason why we kind of started this podcast was, I had a lot of people here in Northern Virginia said, how do you hunt? Well, it actually started with, how do you catch a deer? I ain't catching a deer.
Don't you love that, right? Yeah.
How do you catch a deer? I ain't catching him.
Yeah.
But that's how this whole thing started, was there's so many people asking, how do you hunt? And to me and you and Benny, we grew up with this in your blood. It's what we learned how to do. And, there's a generation of people, whether they're my age or whether they're kids, that haven't learned that, right? At least in this area. Mm-hmm. So, that's how we started this podcast. And we said, all right, so, I'm of the same notion. If you don't have a tractor, you don't have a tiller, man, go throw some clover out. I mean, that's the easiest, you can't beat that. I mean, no. I wouldn't do it in my backyard, but you could go and throw some clover out, and you've got a good, you've got a good start to a food plot. So
100%. Yeah.
I think that's, if you really want, throw some fescue down and let, create some bedding areas over here. So they ain't got far to go. Life's good,
Yeah.
We'll see how it goes.
Yep.
Benny?
And you made a good point is, not everyone knows how to hunt. I'm a huge fan of the youth season, right? Yes. So these mentors, I try to take a young kid hunting every year. I do the youth season for turkeys. I think it's a great idea.
Yep.
That way that youth learns something from maybe an experienced hunter. They're going to pick something up.
Yep. And
hunting's not only good for hunting, it's a life lesson. It's a skill. Yep. It's, the camaraderie. Look at us, right?
Right.
Absolutely.
We didn't know each other, and now,
we're
friends, and it's just hunting's, to me is just an all around great sport, right? It's the best sport in the world, if you ask me.
Yeah,
Um,
I'll
there's
agree.
so many benefits to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And kids nowadays, I was reading this article today, I don't, or it's 2 days ago, about kids and structure. Most kids want structure. Well, what better way to do that than to add, a hunting lesson to that? It's all about structure. It's fun structure, but it's still structure. Look, and I mean, you add that turkey season to it. All right. Well, when do you call? When do you not call? How do you call? What do you call?
Yep.
So that's all structure based that they have to learn. With deer, it's like, how do you know where to sit? Well, where's the wind blowing? That's your first key.
Yeah.
What direction's your wind coming from? And go from there. You don't have a tree stand. Okay, cool. Sit on the ground. Put you a blind in front. So if you're moving, great. Go. Like a kid's gonna move. But there's ways to offset that. And a kid learns this. They learn from blinds. They learn from all that capability and what they're going to do and how they're going to do it. And ultimately it comes down to structure. I mean, you got kids, I've had kids, the whole deal, they crave structure. And I think hunting's a good way to do it. And then you teach them, hey, look, you might not get to tote a gun with you the first time or the second time. I toted a stick for like, I don't know, 6 weeks until I could show people that I knew what I was doing when I was a little kid,
Yeah.
and it worked out well for me. I thought so. And, but when they finally do get it and they have a healthy respect for that firearm, you'd be amazed at what kind of a kid you got there, So I applaud your youth aspect. And one of the big things we talk about is, hey, take a kid outside, take them outside, get them off the video games.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Well, and I think you learn too, just a lot of regular life lesson stuff. I remember when I was a kid, and Mikey, I'm pretty sure my dad told you this story, that one of the first times I was allowed to go hunt in a deer stand by myself, this one weekend, and I went and sat in the stand by myself, and, I get done, and kind of from then on out, it was, floodgates are open. I want to hunt. Like, I don't care what it is, what the weather is, I'm going to sit in a deer stand. And the one day it was torrential downpours, and we were going to go hunt. It was me, my dad, and his buddy, and his kid is my same age. And me and his son were like, man, we're going hunting. Like, we're going to go sit in that tree stand. And my dad and his dad are like, boys, it's raining way too hard. Like, you ain't going to see nothing. No. And we're like, no. Like, we'll be fine. We're going to go sit in that deer stand. We're going to be fine. Man, we get to the farm and we get out of the truck, and me and Rod get dressed and we go walking across the field. We get up in this tree stand. Neither of our dads got out of the truck. They were like, all right, boys, have fun. We'll see you in a half hour when you get back. And, it's just those kind of things that, oh, all right, well, that sucked. Maybe I should kind of pay attention to the weather before I go do things. Or, just little things like that. You learn, a lot of patience. And I think the biggest thing I picked up, and I'm grateful I did, is the respect for the outdoors. There's a lot of guys that go out and just kill shit for fun, and that's, don't get me wrong, going up and, shooting a turkey and tagging out, like, hell yeah, it's fun, but it's not for the kill. No. That's not the fun part. The fun part is, four idiots running through the woods that have never met each other, and we finish our slam and here we are freaking hugging each other, and I've whispered in the woods to you for 5 minutes before Mikey shoots a bird, and we're all high-fiving and hugging and taking pictures, and it's you learn a lot of valuable things, I think.
I agree.
Agree.
So I will tell you, I bought a new boat. So I'm pretty excited about that thing. And Benny and I went out this past weekend to break the motor in. And I don't know if you've ever had to break a motor in a boat, but it's not the funnest job. It's great. Don't get me wrong. You're outside, you're on a boat. I mean, how bad is it really, right?
Yeah.
So we broke the motor in, had a great time. Well, we still got another 6 hours to go, but so I was mentioning this where I was going with this is I was talking to this girl She's 8 years old. Her name's Cora. She's freaking awesome. I took her fishing last year, and for her birthday, she wanted a fishing pole. So we bought her a fishing pole, right? I met up with her yesterday because we were helping her mom move stuff out and everything. And she's like, when are we going fishing? I was like, we'll go right now if you want. Let's go. Let's go. And so I talked to her mom about it last night. And I was like, hey, look, I'll take her fishing. We'll go out. She's got to learn a new fishing pole. But what do you think about the idea of maybe taking her duck hunting?
Hell yeah.
She's like, all in. She goes, do you think it's safe? And I was like, oh, I know it's safe. It might not be safe in the sense of, feelings and things like that in the duck blind, but she's got to be safe, right? So this girl, she found out about that. Now it's all in. I mean, duck season cannot get here fast enough.
Dude, amen.
The good thing about duck, it's like action, right? It's not like kind of deer hunting can be slow.
Yep.
I mean, you're gonna see ducks if you're in the right spot. Like you're gonna, it's gonna be action packed most likely. So it'll be fun for her, right?
I think so.
And I think the other nice thing about duck hunting too, don't get me wrong, I love deer hunting, but it can get so boring to just sit. It's for me, it's more of I go deer hunt when I need to just like get away from everything and not have phone service and just go sit in the woods and enjoy nature and have some quiet time. Yep. But man, duck hunting, everyone's laughing and joking, or we're cooking something on the griddle and throwing stuff at each other across the blind, just having a good time. You can get away with being a little bit louder. And
hunting, right?
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Your wind, you're playing the wind, and every little thing. You're trying to be quiet. Duck hunting, you're usually with buddies, and you're like you said,
right,
joking and
watching somebody fall down in the mud and laughing and.
It's definitely love.
So I got a question. You can only do one. What's it going to be?
What are my options here?
You can deer hunt. You can duck hunt. It's just in hunting in general. You can only pick one. What's it going to be?
Man, that's tough.
I know.
So you asked me in spring, I'm going to say turkeys.
Of course.
You asked me in the end of October, I'm going to be like, that's a dumb question.
Right?
I'm going to have to say turkeys.
Okay.
I'm a diehard deer hunter. Don't get me wrong, but to sit out on a spring morning in the dark and hear those and have the woods just come alive with from Tweety birds to everything, and then when that first gobbler sounds off, it's
over.
I can't go without that.
Yeah. I'll agree.
I can't go without it. No.
I know, and we get an answer. I've only ever been surprised by an answer for that question once from somebody, and it wasn't necessarily a surprise. I thought they were this individual was a diehard duck hunter, and I'm like, they're gonna go, they'll go duck hunting. There's no problem. And they came out with I'm going. I will be in the turkey woods all day long. Didn't see that coming at all. But I think that's probably one of the things that, if you'd asked me that question 15 years ago, I'd have told you deer, 100%. 100%. You could not pull me out of the deer woods. Probably longer than that. I've always had a real special place for turkey hunting. Just, it's in my heart. It's in my blood. It's just who I am. And I kind of took it for granted a little bit. And then when I couldn't do it for a little while, I was like, man, I need to get back in the woods and turkey hunt. I got to. And but I'm right there with you. I think if I only had one option, it's turkey hunting all day long. So I don't know. Alligators are pretty close second. Pretty close second.
That's just insane.
We don't have alligators up here, so I'm lost.
So I grew up around alligators, Alabama, Louisiana type areas. So there's a show out, most people have seen it, called Swamp People, right?
Yes.
And they go out and they hang, chicken from a tree. It makes it look pretty easy. They go out and they pull this alligator in that's like 12 foot long, and then they pull the trigger on this alligator, and they roll it into their boat and they take it home and they hang it up, and somebody buys it from them. They make money off of it, right? I can tell you that is the ultimate simplification of that entire hunting process.
No, dude, that's about sums it up.
No. So I'd done it before a long time ago, and we met up with good friends of ours down in Louisiana, Wes and his family, and he invited us to come back to come down last year. And Benny had never done alligator hunting for in his life, so off we go, and we're in Bayou Pigeon, the end of the world. And there's this sign that says that, welcome to the end of the world, Bayou Pigeon. And so we're down there, and I'll never forget. I tell people this all the time. If you've heard it once, I'm sorry, I'm going to tell it again. So Benny gets down there. I go pick him up from the airport. I drove. Benny shows up. I pick him up from the airport. We go over. The next morning, we're putting boats in the water, getting ready to go. And I said, oh, look, there's the alligator. And Benny's like, holy Jesus, where?
Dude, yeah.
I was like, oh, it's right there. Nope, it's not okay. And I mean, he took it like a champ, right? And it was like,
dude, I walked back up. I was like, screw that. Like, forget the boat. I'm going to stand on top of this levee away from that freaking water, dude. Like, hell no.
So it's like a 4.5 foot alligator. Nothing big, right? We get the boat in, and how long were we there? Were we there for a week or weekend? I don't remember.
I think we were there for like a long weekend.
Yeah, it's like a long
weekend. You stayed, I think, a week, which this year I'm staying for a full week.
So we're down there, we're having a blast, everything's going right. We get him in the boat, and he starts to realize, look, you use these big hooks, you hook them onto the tree, the alligators come along, they eat that, and then you got to pass the time, like turkey season, right? You're not always in the woods hunting, right? If it's middle of the day, probably you shouldn't be hunting turkeys, right? You're going to scare them. Wait till, morning or evening, and, or if you're like us and we're four idiots running through the woods who know the woods pretty well, we got a pretty good chance, better than most. So, so then we put out these things. I don't know if you know what they are. I would assume you do, but we call them trot lines, right? So you put these trot lines out and you bait them up, and, you catch catfish, you catch a lot of different things off of them. But, basically there are these lines that go across the river in areas that you think are probably, good areas for fish, and you throw them out. So you run trot lines for a little while, then you go back and you check your alligator lines. Well, when the alligator's on, you come up and you hand line this thing in that's, 800 pounds and does not, has a hook in his belly and is not real happy to see you there. And so they start rolling and thrashing and everything. And then you got to figure out a way to shoot them. In my case, I'm not the greatest shot. I'll hand line it. Let somebody else shoot that thing because for whatever reason, it's not my jam. I'm not good at it. So, when somebody finally does shoot them in the back of the head, that in a spot that's like the size of a quarter, then the real work comes in. You got to get them into the boat. So 800 pounds of dead weight. I mean, that's 800 pounds of dead weight. That's, so now you're trying to roll this thing in, and you can't keep them in the water, because if you do, they start taking on water, which makes them heavier. Yeah. So you get them in the boat, you get them mouth taped up, you get them in the boat, get them in there, and you're like, all right, this is good. We're all good. And then you see an eyeball open up, and you're like, oh, Jesus, he's not dead. And you can't shoot him because now he's in your boat.
Now he's in your boat, yeah.
Right. So insert Benny and a screwdriver. You can.
Dude, that first time we did that, we're riding down the river. One of the guys that's with us, he brought his daughter and his daughter's friend out with us, and they're what, 8, 10 maybe?
10. Yeah.
And so here we are. It's me and Baxter and two 10-year-old girls in the boat, and this alligator that all of a sudden just picks its head up and turns around and looks at me, and I was like,
that's not supposed to happen.
What are we supposed to do now? And Baxter just hands me this like foot-long flathead screwdriver from the captain's seat, and I was like, looking at the gator, looking at the screwdriver, and I was like, I'm like 90% sure I know what you want me to do with this, but I just want to double check before I do it in front of two 10-year-old girls. And he's like, yeah, they'll be all right. All right. Of course, we didn't have any tape. We didn't have nothing. I had the line that's still hooked to it and just like tied that off to the boat cleat. And I was like, well, it can't move too far theoretically. And then dude just opens his eyes and turns his head completely around. I was like, oh God, this is not this is not
didn't have
good.
his mouth taped up?
No, we forgot the tape. So we had no tape. I think I wrapped the line around its mouth a few times and then just like tied it off to the boat cleat and we're like, yeah, it'd be fine. Yeah, it was not fine.
Man,
But it was a fun weekend going from seeing like a 3-foot baby alligator and just like, holy crap, get me away from the water, to sitting down next to a 6-7 foot alligator that's opening its eyes and moving its head towards me and going, huh, that's a problem.
Yeah.
What do we do about this?
no,
So
I'm good.
I'm telling you, man, I there's a lot. I mean, it sounds maybe not. No, it sounds probably as bad as it really is. But
But God, it's an adrenaline rush.
it's so much fun.
Oh
It
God,
is.
it's crazy.
And
That same like lightning bolt that shoots through you when that first gobbler fires off at 50 yards on the roost. Man, you get up, and some of them you get up to it and the chicken's down like in the water. You know, your line's down and you're like, oh, okay, cool. Yeah, it's down. And so you just pull it up and it literally just fell off the close clip or whatever. And then other ones, you do the same thing, and it's like pulling up just a slack line, and you're like, oh, yeah, there's nothing on it. And then a 9-foot alligator explodes out of the water at you, and you're like, oh, shit.
Yeah.
so it's got that same adrenaline dump rush that you have. You know,
I
It's-
know, but I mean, a turkey's not going to bite my freaking head off.
Hey, you know, they probably could, though.
No.
Dude, I don't know that I'd
No.
want to fight a turkey.
I wouldn't want to fight a turkey either, but
I wouldn't.
I'll take
Uh-uh.
a turkey over an alligator any day of the week.
Yeah, 100% agree there.
Yeah, that's fair.
So this year we're going a little bit better prepared, right? So we decided that we're gonna upscale the gun. You can't upscale too much. You got to do right. You know, last year we're shooting 22s. This year we're shooting 22 magnums, right?
Which is
So-
still ridiculous to me. That's
Not-
still
not
the
much
like,
bigger, but a little bigger.
it's
It's
still
got
the
some punch.
stupidest thing to me. It's like, oh yeah, we just shoot them with 22s because then it doesn't go all the way through. And it's like, yeah, but like it also
If you have
doesn't
water,
kill
why
them.
don't you use like a 243 or something?
Well, that's a great question.
That'd be my thought, or like a 9mm, or you know, something that would actually kill it, not a 22 that for the first like 2 shots kind of just pisses it off.
Yeah. So the reason why, is
Especially when Mikey misses and shoots it straight through the top of the nose,
I did.
and then it just
did.
gets pissed and bites the side of the boat, and you're like, dude, please shoot this thing.
I'll own up to that one. I missed. I was trying not to shoot other people around us, and I shot him in the beak, you know. So,
Yeah.
But I think the main reason why 22 is kind of the go-to is if you've ever tried to shoot like a high-powered rifle in water, it fractionalizes pretty quick. So you don't have as, I mean, yeah, 22 will still fractionalize and it'll kind of pseudo ricochet off the water. But it's not as bad as what you see some of the more high velocity rounds like a 243 or, you know, something like that. So that's the first one. But the second one is that they look at is there's a lot less damage to the skull. And that's, you know, they sell every single part of that freaking alligator. So
So the less you can mess it up, the better.
That's what
But
they want.
Still, like, if it was up to me, I'd be out there with a freaking 338 Lapua.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
Screw that, dude.
No
Leave the
question
22 at home. I'm taking
Yep.
the freaking 50 cal.
Yeah, my odd 6 will do a good job.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
so, but we kind of ventured off. So obviously, your hunting season's coming back around, and you know, I will tell you this much: I have every intentions of being back in New York. I found a miraculously amazing state to hunt at, without a doubt. So hopefully, I get to hunt with you again this year.
I'd
but,
love to have you guys come back. Yeah. 100%.
Yeah. So ducks and geese. You're a big duck and goose hunter, right?
Yeah, you could say that. Yeah.
Yeah, you can say that. Uh-oh.
Oh,
I bet you that's a battery. I bet you.
wouldn't surprise me because he is on his phone, isn't he?
He is. He's
Oh,
on
no,
there
he's
he is.
back.
There it is. I'm back. I don't
Good.
have-
Who knows? We get that almost every single show, so we're good.
It's always something weird going on.
Most of the time, it's me though. So ducks and geese. What's this year? How do you think the season's going to go? What's your kind of go to? What's your, I think they raised your limit. Y'all have a north and south zone, right?
Yeah.
All right, and I think you're in north zone.
So we're
right?
we're technically the southern zone.
Okay, you're in southern zone.
Yep.
Your limits got changed a little bit this year, from what I understand.
Yeah, they bumped us up one in the regular season, which is good. It was one goose.
Yeah.
I mean, not for nothing. Who wants to set everything up and you get to shoot one goose? So you bring 5 guys, you get one fly, and it's like, man, that's a lot of work for just a few minutes of hunting.
Yeah,
I'll agree. And you've got the Finger Lakes region up there too, so you got a ton of freaking ducks sitting on those lakes, and I'm shocked. I mean, first time I saw them, I drove by the lake and I'm like, holy Jesus, there's a widgeon, there's snow geese, there's holy crap. There's an amazing amount of freaking ducks up there. But y'all open up with teal season just like we do, right?
When does your teal come in?
September 9th, I think.
Yeah, it's something weird. Sometime in that first week of September.
Yeah, so we're not till like mid-October.
Okay.
So that's when our first duck comes in. Goose is it's a nuisance season, they call it.
Okay.
So that's September 1st to like the 25th.
Yeah, we call that resident.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Resident goose season. Yep.
Old Big Tony's, dude. That's my favorite. That is my absolute favorite season. I don't think there is better waterfowl to shoot than a big, full-grown Canada goose.
100%. And
God, they're fun.
15 a person.
I say, yeah, your resident season's like 15.
Yeah.
Whoo!
And you get a few guys, and it's
you got snacks.
Yeah.
Yeah, snack sticks for days.
You got snacks. It's gonna be great.
Yeah.
So now is resident goose. This is something that I found out this year in certain states, not every state. And I don't know if New York is that way, but and I thought this was kind of unique, was in certain states, they have a resident goose season. Obviously Virginia does, you have it, but it's only for residents of New York. And I thought that, or whatever state that you're in, right? Virginia's open to anybody. I didn't know if they made that change for you all so
we have buddies that come out of state to come hunt with us. Yeah. So you're in New York and everything's legal, you're good to go. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yep.
I saw a couple of the states this year change that up. I mean, we're seeing a lot of changes. I good or bad, people want to gripe about it, and I'm not a biologist. I'm not part of DWR. I'm not, it's not my thing, but you're seeing a lot more regulations come in. States are changing over to more of a, at least for big game and stuff like that, it's more of a lottery draw, and you've got this, that, and the other, and when I saw that change, at least from a couple of other states, and it's not many, it's just a couple, you can only hunt a resident waterfowl if you're a resident of that state. I was like, wonder how that's going to pan out for the rest of these folks, because if they start it and it's successful, where's it going to end? So
dude, they better not mess up my freaking resident Canada goose seasons. Dude, I'm telling you, other than this this alligator trip, I'm going somewhere when we get back for a resident Canada goose beatdown, whether it's Virginia, or might have to call Jeremy and see if I can tag along on one of his hunts, but I'm going somewhere to shoot some freaking 15 pile of freaking big Canadas.
Now obviously you've got teal, y'all do what, blue and green up there? You got blue and green wing teal?
Yep. We don't.
then,
It's rare that we get into them. You know, we shoot a lot of puddle ducks, woodies, big ducks, mallards. Those are the two most that we get into is woodies and mallards.
Yeah, I wouldn't know anything about shooting woodies.
One of the 2 ducks that he hasn't killed in North America.
Are you serious?
It's the stupidest thing. I'm like, dude, when he first told me, I was like, how have you never killed a wood duck?
I know. I thought you were.
I think it was the first duck I ever killed was a wood duck.
No.
Really? Wow.
Never shot a wood duck in my life, ever. Ever.
Well, maybe we could change that come October.
I'm all right with that. I'm all right with that. I really am. And, and here's the other thing that's absolutely hysterical is my other one, canvasback.
Really?
I've never shot a canvasback. Never. And everybody's like, how do you not shoot either one of those two? They're like generally like somebody's first or second, right?
Yeah.
And it's just.
Well, especially on the East Coast. Like growing up, like I grew up in Missouri, and we really didn't get that many canvasbacks. Unless you went and hunted like on the Mississippi River, you'd shoot some every once in a while.
Yeah.
But like, dude, we never saw cans. But still, I got out here to the East Coast and shot one. I shot 2 the first season that I was out here. And I've taken you multiple times. I'm like, how? What? Every other weekend, it's like, oh, yeah, that's all we're shooting is cans late season, wood ducks early season. You come out and we're like, oh, it's a mallard and gadwall kind of day. And it's like, what the hell? Or we see 40 freaking wood ducks and none of us can hit a single goddamn one of them.
That one was disappointing.
That sucked.
That was disappointing. So,
when in doubt, water swat a coot. Call it a day.
No. And Benny is a water swatting fool. He is. And,
hey, man, somebody's got to do it.
And Benny, you can't keep calling them coots.
That's a poodoo.
It's a poodoo.
That's right.
So
that's good. I've never heard that one.
That's a Louisiana.
That's the Cajun term for them.
Yeah, they call them poodoos, and they eat them. They eat them like it's going out of style.
That's
I'm
crazy.
not kidding you.
That's crazy.
That look on your face. Yep.
Mm-mm.
Yep. But hey, these are people who, I mean, they're subsistence hunters in by every stretch of the imagination. They are subsistence hunters. So I ain't eating a poodoo. I'll grind them up and I'll give them to my dog. We'll call it good. I ain't eating that thing.
I say mine get donated to Mikey's dog. That's about it.
I'm not. Well, y'all have them up there. Y'all have coots up there, right?
Yeah, we have them on the lakes. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's open season for those things, right?
Yeah.
As Benny puts it, they're banded too.
Hell yeah, they are.
For sure.
They do band them suckers. Dude, if I shot a banded coot, I'd have to get it mounted.
Yeah, that's probably a must. Yeah.
No.
That'd be so cool. Are you kidding me?
No.
I think it'd be cool, yeah.
Oh, 100%.
Don't encourage
That's
them.
like a unicorn, right? Like,
Dude, that's my dream across the walls. A banded coot, a freaking nice
Nope.
a real nice hen hooded merganser.
Nope.
Prettiest duck on the planet.
Nope.
Hands
$200
down.
my blind. Nope.
Dude,
hey,
one of our
my phone's at 1%.
All right.
Oh, we'll wrap her up.
I'm gonna lose you.
All right. So first, we'll make it real quick. Thanks for coming on. Jeremy, we want to have you back. You're good people. We appreciate everything you did for us. And you continue to. You're genuinely a good human being, and we appreciate that.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that, guys. Thank you very much.
I don't know. So if people want to get a hold of you for land management, how do they go about doing that?
I'm kind of word of mouth, to be honest with you. I don't have a website. I kind of stay busy, just word of mouth.
Gotcha. That's a good problem to have.
Yeah, it's good. I'm busy. I'm busy enough.
Cool.
Not to brag, but yeah.
All right, and I need to get on your books. I want to come hunting with you. I want to come shoot a wood duck up there with you. So
yeah, get at me.
Make sure you keep me there. And if you got some folks, you got some time open or whatever, and you're not dealing with family and kids and running around, I'd love to come up and shoot a wood duck with you. So.
You're welcome anytime. Of course.
All right, Benny, what you got, my friend?
That's all I got. Yeah, definitely stay in touch, because if you need a little 25-year-old idiot to come throw out decoys and call it some resident Canada geese, I can be there in about 6 hours. So you just let me know and I'll be there.
5 hours and 38 minutes later.
Barbie sticker 20 gauge and all, man. We'll be there.
Sticker's got to be on the 20 gauge.
Hell yeah.
I'm not helping. You are not helping.
But seriously, Jeremy, thanks again. Super glad we got to meet you and have you on and talk to you again. And I'm sure we'll get into something crazy again.
And there he goes.
All right. Well, Mike,
dude, that's an exit right there.
Dude, that was pretty cool. That was like mic drop, just
mic drop, poof, done.
Out. Well, all right,
man. Well, I'm not going to sit here and talk to you. I get to do that enough. So
yeah, that's fair.
Are we going fishing this weekend? Nope.
Probably.
Okay.
I got plans Saturday, but I'm open Sunday.
I'm going Sunday. So.
Eight. All right. Well, cool.
Other people with us.
That's fine. We taking the boat?
Probably. I got to break it in.
Yeah. Well, we'll see y'all next week.
All right.
This is weird not having a guest here at the end.
I know. It's cool, though.
I think
it's pretty slick. It's like deuces.
Yeah, it was a baller move. All right. Well, we'll see y'all next week.
Bye, everybody.
See ya.
You've been listening to The Hunting Quest. No matter how crazy, high-tech, or lazy the rest of the country gets, we will always be hunting and fishing. If that's you, you've found your new family. Thanks for listening to the show. Make sure to like, rate, and review. And we'll be back soon. Reach out to us by email at info@thehuntingquest.com and check us out on Instagram and YouTube at The Hunting Quest. See you next time.